Being stupid isn't only annoying, it's costly. Not in money, though it will cost you that too. It will cost you something much harder to get back: your time, your energy, and your self-respect. Every time you try to be patient, explain something that should be clear, or get sucked into a conversation that seems like sinking into wet cement, you pay this cost. You know what it's like. You enter into a room, and in a few minutes, someone converts a basic notion into a big fight. Facts don't stick. People laugh at nuance. The person who talks the most becomes the leader, not because they are right, but because they don't give up. And before you know it, you're doing what smart people do when there's a lot of noise. You start turning reality into a language that the room can understand. You make things easier. You get softer. You add warnings. You make an effort to be fair. And the more you do it, the more fatigued you get. Not because thinking is hard, but because you have to think for two people. You're bearing the weight of clarity while someone else carries the comfort of being certain. That's the part nobody says out loud. The drain isn't coming from disagreement. It's coming from the utter futility of trying to build a bridge to someone who isn't heading toward you. They're not interested in comprehending. They're focused in winning, reacting, performing, or venting. And your attention becomes the fuel for all of it. So you leave the conversation feeling weirdly bad, even though you did nothing wrong. You feel haughty for demanding space. You feel frigid for not meeting people where they are. You tell yourself you should be more tolerant, more patient, more mature. But here's the awful truth: you're not arrogant. You're exhausted. And Schopenhauer, one of the harshest realists in philosophy, understood this fatigue with disturbing precision. He didn't romanticize social life. He didn't treat constant connection as virtue. He saw most human connection as a form of psychological friction, an exchange where the shallow drag the deep below, and the noisy punish the silent merely for existing. To him, a lot of what people call socializing isn't connection at all. It's pollution. Not because people are nasty, but because most people unconsciously transmit their inner chaos the way smoke does in a closed space. If you have a sensitive intellect, you don't just hear it, you absorb it. And the actual problem isn't that stupid people exist. It's that you keep giving them access to your nervous system. So the question isn't, how do I win against them? The true question is, why are you still volunteering to lose yourself in the process? Before we go any further, we have to define the word stupid, since I'm not talking about IQ tests or school grades. In this video, stupid indicates poor consciousness. It's the individual who is impetuous, ego-driven, and reactive. The one who can't hold two concepts in their mind at once. The one who confuses volume with truth, confidence with skill, emotion with proof. They don't process reality, they dump it, and since they're wedded to certainties, nuance feels like an attack. That's why they're so taxing. Schopenhauer looked at human beings and didn't perceive magnificent rational creatures. He saw organisms motivated by a deeper force he termed the will. Blind desire, tireless striving, the incessant urge to assert, devour, and control. Reason, for most individuals, isn't the driver, it's the lawyer. It arrives after the fact, offering justifications for impulses that were already decided. Now, picture having to debate someone like that. You assume you're trading ideas. They think they're safeguarding their identity. You assume you're aiming for truth. They're aiming for relief. Relief from doubt. Relief from insecurity. Relief from feeling small. Relief from having to stare inward for 5 painful seconds. This is why most fools can't tolerate solitude. Silence forces self-awareness. Reflection forces accountability. And accountability seems like death to the ego. So they fill the room with noise, gossip, fury, jokes, hot takes, and conflict. Anything that distracts them from sitting alone with the question they're scared of. What if I'm wrong? Schopenhauer had a severe hatred for superficial social life because he recognized something most people don't like to admit. Crowds don't uplift you, they average you. The more people gather, the more the lowest common denominator sets the emotional temperature. Conversation becomes performance. Opinions become costumes, and truth becomes optional. So the social vampire isn't necessarily evil. Often, they're unconscious. They don't deplete you because they dislike you. They deplete you because they can't generate their own inner stability. They need an external source, your attention, your patience, your clarity, to manage their disorder. Schopenhauer would say, the tragedy is that you keep presuming the other person is playing the same game as you. You presume they appreciate coherence, that they can be persuaded, that humiliation will rectify them. But the fool doesn't sense contradiction as a problem. They experience it as an insult. So they double down, alter the subject, criticize your tone, or rally a crowd. And if you're the smart one, you feel responsible for cleaning up the mess. At work, in your home, in your friendships, in group chats, in meetings. That sense of obligation is exactly how they hook you. They inject confusion into the room, then wait for you to sort it. They put emotional static into the air, then watch you try to ground it. They manufacture a problem, then deliver you the bill again and again, until you crack and call it just a conversation. Look at what happens online, and you'll see Schopenhauer's thesis in high resolution. Outrage culture isn't a desire for justice, it's a dopamine economy. Comment wars aren't debates, they're dominance rituals. People don't post to learn, they post to indicate commitment to a community, to collect approval, to feel strong for 10 seconds. The platform favors certainty, not accuracy. It rewards heat, not light. And when you come into that arena as a thoughtful person, you're walking into a rigged game. You bring nuance, they bring a flamethrower. You bring context, they bring slogans. You bring inquiries, they make allegations. You attempt to develop ideas, they try to extract a reaction. That's the extraction. They want you to explain yourself continuously so they can keep you involved. They want you to get emotional so they can feel justified. They want you to dispute so they can feel alive. They want you to stay so they don't have to face their own emptiness. So when you feel depleted after just a conversation, it wasn't just words. It was a transfer of energy. You gave them your nervous system and they used it like a charging station. Which comes to the true question you should be asking. If they're not attempting to learn, what precisely are they trying to take from you? Here's the bit that will sting. Ignorant people don't drain you by force. They deplete you because you step into the trap willingly, again and again, thinking this time it'll be different. And it's not because you're weak, it's because you have habits that appear like virtues. They feel honorable, they feel mature. But in the wrong setting, they become self-destruction dressed up as character. There are 3 pitfalls bright people fall into. If you can spot which one possesses you, you can stop bleeding energy without turning into a bitter misanthrope. All 3 traps stem from the same innocent mistake. You presume other people want what you desire. You desire clarity, so you supply clarity. You want growth, therefore you provide understanding. You desire honest communication, so you show up with good faith. But many individuals are not playing the truth game. They're playing the comfort game, the status game, the keep my identity intact game. When you bring a rational toolkit into an emotional power battle, you don't win, you just contribute your energy. That donation is the tax. The first is the explainer trap. You know it well. Someone at work says something confidently wrong in a meeting. Everyone nods because that sounds excellent. Your stomach tightens. You feel the duty rise in your chest like a reflex. If I don't correct this, we'll all suffer later. So you speak up, you start clarifying, you add context. You build the argument meticulously, step by step, as you're laying bricks. And they don't receive it. They interrupt, they pervert your words, they compress your nuance into a straw man. Or worse, they grin sweetly and proceed as if nothing happened. You leave the meeting weary, not because you talked, but because you just learned the terrible lesson. Clarity doesn't cure someone who isn't confused. It only irritates someone who's invested in being correct. Schopenhauer would say, you overestimated reason's strength. You imagined logic is a steering wheel, but for most individuals, it's makeup. They don't use ideas to uncover truth. They use concepts to defend the ego. So the more you explain, the more they defend. The more you clarify, the more they resist. And you wind up doing mental effort that was never requested. The second is the empathy trap. This one is tricky because it feels like love. It feels like being a good person. A family member calls and dumps their chaos on you. Again. A friend spirals over the same problem for the 16th time. A partner lashes out, then apologizes, then does it again. And because you can identify patterns, because you understand psychology, because you can picture their anguish, you keep making space. You listen, you soothe, you absorb. But note what occurs to your body while you do it. Your breathing alters, your jaw tightens, your mind starts rushing, trying to solve, trying to stabilize, attempting to save. You tell yourself they just need support. But deep down you know the truth. They don't want help, they want a container. They want somewhere to pour their mess so they don't have to sit with it alone. Compassion becomes access, and access becomes entitlement. Schopenhauer's gloomy observation fits perfectly here. Most individuals don't desire connection to progress. They seek connection to escape themselves. If they can keep you emotionally involved, they don't have to face their own inner quiet. So they keep coming, not because you helped them, but because you helped them escape change. The third is the status trap. This is where smart people become humbled, since it's the one you'll reject. You say you don't care what people think. You say you've outgrown ego, but then someone misunderstands you on purpose. Someone mocks your point. Someone reduces you to a caricature. And now you're composing paragraphs, raising your voice, repeating the exchange in your thoughts for hours. Why? Because you want to be seen as intelligent, as reasonable, as the individual who makes sense. You want the world to notice your lucidity, and when it doesn't, it seems like stealing. It feels like disgrace. So you chase the respect that was never on offer. Online, this trap is ubiquitous. You respond to a bad faith comment, thinking you'll set the record straight. You envision the quiet audience observing, nodding, applauding your logic. But the crowd doesn't reward depth. It rewards entertainment. The fool gets loves for confidence. You get tiredness for intricacy. Schopenhauer would call this the want to be seen, the urge to dominate the picture of yourself in other people's minds. And that urge is a leash. Anyone can tug it. So let me ask you directly, whatever trap keeps grabbing you, the need to explain, the need to heal, or the need to be respected? Because once you see it, the tipping moment becomes evident. The idea isn't to handle foolish people better. The idea is to avoid volunteering for the job they assign you, interpreter, therapist, or defender. You don't need sharper arguments. You need fewer invites to spend your life. And the instant you chose distance, your mind starts breathing again, eventually. Schopenhauer would laugh at the contemporary fantasy that peace comes from better communication, as if the proper words, given in the appropriate tone, can change an ego-addicted mind into a truth-seeking one. He wasn't vicious for its own sake, he was realistic. He knew that most conflict doesn't exist because the message was unclear. It occurs because the person doesn't desire clarity. They desire control, comfort, or attention. So the solution isn't to become a more convincing speaker. The solution is to become a more selective participant. Because your energy is not endless, your focus is not free. Every time you start a futile fight, you don't just lose the moment, you lose the mental sharpness you needed for your actual existence. Your work, your craft, your plans, your health. That's the tax again. And sensible people don't eliminate the tax by winning, they erase it by refusing to pay. The first tool is the silence rule. Certainty addicts live on reaction. They need your resistance to feel alive. They provoke, simplify, exaggerate, and misinterpret because it keeps confirming their narrative. Everyone's against me, so I must be right. The moment you argue, you become part of their dopamine cycle. So, instead of debating, you remove oxygen, not with anger, not with contempt, with quiet non-participation. Silence is not surrender, silence is strategy. You don't have to reply to every wrong thing. You don't have to rectify every distortion. Especially in public spaces, group chats, comment sections, family gatherings, where the purpose is rarely truth and nearly always performance. If you want to know who controls you, study what might pull you into a reaction. The silence rule is how you cut the strings. The second tool is the friction test. Ask yourself one brutally honest inquiry after every interaction. Do I leave this person with more clarity or less? If you constantly leave confused, anxious, irritated, or cognitively hazy, that isn't connection, that's friction. And friction, over time, evolves into bitterness, exhaustion, and emotional numbness. Some people are not bad for your morals, they're horrible for your nervous system. Schopenhauer's thesis wasn't that solitude is always superior. It's because calm takes space from those who continually disturb your inner equilibrium. If an interaction costs you your calm, it's hardly just socializing, it's a drain. Treat it like one. The final tool is the one-sentence boundary. Smart individuals love to explain. They over-justify, they provide context, they attempt to be fair. That's exactly what manipulators and chaos makers feed on, because every extra line is another handle they can grip. So you need brief statements that halt the loop without encouraging dispute. Not aggressive, not cold, just final. Examples look like this. I'm not discussing this right now. I hear you. I'm still not doing that. That doesn't work for me. We see this differently. I'm going to step away. You say it once, then you repeat it if needed. No lectures, no courtroom speeches. The boundary isn't a negotiation, it's a door. The fourth tool is choosing arenas. Where you engage matters as much as what you say. Public venues reward spectacle. Verbal arenas reward quickness. Reactive venues reward the loudest emotion. If you're thoughtful, those locations will penalize you, so shift the landscape. Private above public. Written over spoken. Slow over reactive. If someone wants to dispute in real time, especially while emotions are high, that's usually a trap. Slowing the pace destroys the spell. Send me your thoughts and I'll read them later is not avoidance, it's refusing to be sucked into their tempo. Schopenhauer would call this escape the tyranny of other people's urgency. The final tool is the most important. Attention is currency. Whatever you consistently respond to, you fund. Whatever you keep explaining to, you sponsor. Whatever drama you keep returning to, you invest in. And the return on that investment is usually negative, anxiety, distraction, and a shortening life. So start treating your attention like money. Ask, would I pay for this conversation? If the answer is no, cease giving. Now, the unpleasant truth. Sometimes the smartest option is to let others misunderstand you. Yes, it will offend your ego. Yes, it will feel unjust. But clarity is lost on those bent to distortion. Some brains don't mistake by accident. They misunderstand as a weapon. And your need to fix them is the attraction. When you finally accept that you don't need everyone's approval, something unusual happens. Your mind gets silent again. You stop rehearsing disputes in the shower. You cease carrying fictional disputes in your thoughts. You return to yourself. That's the second turning point. Solitude isn't loneliness. It's intellect defending itself. It's your mind stepping out of the noise long enough to recall what it's like to be entire. So, here's the conclusion, and it's simpler than you want it to be. You don't need better reasons. You need better standards for who has access to you. Because idiocy isn't merely a lack of insight, it's a demand that you explain, soothe, tolerate, and translate until your own mind is depleted and your life is postponed. That's the tax. And the smartest individuals don't avoid it by winning debates. They escape it by denying the transaction. You can't create your future while feeding the same fire daily. Avoiding foolish people isn't arrogance, it's self-respect. It's the grown-up insight that your attention is finite and you are not required to spend it on chaos just to prove you're kind. Some folks don't desire truth, they want an audience, and every time you turn up, you teach them they can purchase your energy with noise. Schopenhauer wasn't telling you to detest humanity, he was warning you that depth demands protection. Solitude, in his perspective, isn't a sulking escape, it's a sanctuary. It's where your mind regains its edge, where your ideas cease being interrupted by other people's impulses, where you recall what you genuinely think when nobody is forcing you to perform. So here's your challenge. Identify the one person, platform, or location that drains you the most and reduce their access by 50% this week. Fewer answers, shorter discussions. No public arguments, more silence, more distance. And if you feel bad, remember this. Guilt is often just the withdrawal symptom of a boundary you should have set years ago. Drop a comment. What drains you more? Explaining, empathizing, or being misunderstood? Your life becomes intelligent the instant you stop negotiating with noise.